Alright, this is the fourth and final volume of A Brief History of the Empire by Stronach Cathajej. Sorry with the names again, always, I try my best. I'm from the Midwest, you'll hear that. Alright, here we go. The first book of this series described, in brief, the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with Tibir I. The second volume described the War of the Red Diamond and the 6 emperors who followed. The third volume describes the troubles of the next 3 emperors, the frustrated Uriel IV, the ineffectual Sepphoris II, and the heroic Uriel V. On Uriel V's death, across the sea in a distant, hostile Akavir, Uriel VI was about 5 years old. In fact, Uriel VI was born only shortly before his father had left for Akavir. Uriel V's only other progeny, by a morganatic alliance, were the twins Moratha and Eloisia, who had been born a month after Uriel V had left. Uriel VI was crowned in the 290th year of the Third Era. The imperial consort Thonica, as the boy's mother, was given a restricted regency until Uriel VI reached his majority. The Elder Council retained its real power, as they had ever since the days of Kataria I. The council so enjoyed its unlimited and unrestricted freedom to promulgate laws and generate profits that Uriel VI was not given full license to rule until 307, when he was already 22 years old. He had been slowly assuming positions of responsibility for years, but both the council and his mother, who enjoyed even her limited regency, were loath to hand over the reins. By the time he came to the throne, the mechanisms of government gave him little power except for that of the imperial veto. This power, however, he regularly and vigorously exercised. By 313, Uriel VI could boast with conviction that he truly did rule Tamriel. He utilized defunct spy networks and guard units to bully and coerce the difficult members of the Elder Council. His half-sister, Moriatha, was, not surprisingly, his staunchest ally, especially after her marriage to the Baron Ulf Gerson of Winterhold. That brought her considerable wealth and influence. As the sage Ugarid said, Uriel V conquered Esronet, but Uriel VI conquered the Elder Council. When Uriel VI fell off a horse and could not be resuscitated by the finest imperial healers, his beloved sister, Moriatha, took up the imperial tiara. At 25 years of age, she had been described by admittedly self-serving diplomats as the most beautiful creature in all of Tamriel. She was certainly well-learned, vivacious, athletic, and a well-practiced politician. She brought the Archmagister of Skyrim to the Imperial City and created the second Imperial Battle Mage since the days of Tibir Septim. Moriatha finished the job her brother had begun and made the Imperial Province a true government under the Empress, and later the Emperor. Outside the Imperial Province, however, the Empire had been slowly disintegrating. Open revolutions and civil wars had raged unchallenged since the days of her grandfather, Sepphoris II. Carefully coordinating her counterattacks, Moriatha slowly claimed back her rebellious vassals, always avoiding overextending herself. Though Moriatha's military campaigns were remarkably successful, her deliberate pace often frustrated the council. One councilman, an Argonian who took the Colovian name of the Thoricles Ramus, furious at her refusal to send troops to his troubled Black Marsh, is commonly believed to have hired the assassins who claimed her life in the Third Era, 339. Ramus was summarily tried and executed, though he protested his innocence to the last. Moriatha had no surviving children, and Eloisa had died of a fever 4 years before. Eloisa's 25-year-old son Pelagius was thus crowned Pelagius IV. Pelagius IV continued his aunt's work, slowly bringing back under his wing the radical and refractory kingdoms, duchies, and barons of the empire. He exercised Moriatha's poise and circumspect pace in his endeavors, but alas, he did not attain her success. The kingdoms had been free of constraint for so long that even a benign imperial presence was considered odious. Nevertheless, when Pelagius died after a notably stable and prosperous 29-year reign, Tamriel was closer to unity than it had been once in the days of Uriel I. Our current emperor, his awesome and terrible majesty, Uriel Septim VII, son of Pelagius IV, has the diligence of his great-aunt Moriatha, the political skill of his great-uncle Uriel VI, and the military prowess of his great-grand-uncle Uriel V. For 21 years he reigned and brought justice and order to Tamriel. In the year of the Third Era, 389, however, was his imperial battle mage, Jagar Tharn, betrayed him. Uriel VII was imprisoned in a dimension of Tharn's creation, and Tharn used his sorcery of illusion to assume the Emperor's aspect. For the next 10 years, Tharn abused imperial privilege, but did not continue Uriel VII's schedule of reconquest. It is not yet entirely known what Tharn's goals and personal accomplishments were during the 10 years that he masqueraded as his liege lord. In the Third Era of 399, an enigmatic champion defeated the battle mage in the dungeons of the Imperial Palace and freed Uriel VII from his other dimensional jail. Since his emancipation, Uriel Septim VII has worked diligently to renew the battles that would reunite Tamriel. Tharn's interference broke the momentum, it's true, but the years since have proven that there is the hope of a golden age of Tiberius Septim's rule, glorifying Tamriel once again. Alright, that is the conclusion of the series of A Brief History of the Empire. If you're enjoying the Reading Oblivion series, please don't hesitate to subscribe.